The whole population of the Earth was wiped off as evil monsters invaded it. The few who were left had to shield their eyes to avoid dying. Sebastian offers his daughter Anna a pair of roller skates as they spend a little time together in the twilight that filters in through closed windows on a dimly lit basketball court. They hear a disturbance that makes them aware of someone else's proximity, and Sebastian silently begs Anna to follow him out of the court. They bolt in fear as they hear an odd metallic sound in the darkness. But Sebastian is soon ambushed and robbed by 3 blind attackers, taking all they own with them. Sebastian ponders making a weapon out of a broken bottle, but he is advised against it by Anna in a quiet way. Sebastian and Anna put on dark goggles and go outdoors once the assailants have left. The pandemonium that resulted from enigmatic monsters taking over the Earth is shown in the following scenes. With just a glance, these creatures have the ability to inspire others to commit suicide, which may quickly cause enormous devastation. All that remained was to make my way around the environment while wearing a blindfold and dodging these unseen enemies. That's exactly what Sebastian and Anna do as they walk hand in hand through the city's ruins, their eyesight blurry. Another rattling sound resonates from far away, causing them to halt and consider that they are facing yet another hurdle in their desperate attempt to survive in a world turned upside down by creatures they cannot see. Sebastian called out to Anna, telling her to keep concealed until he was certain the survivors close were friendly. His voice caused the survivors to halt. Sebastian clarified that he was lost and that he and Anna needed help. The survivors paused and spoke to one another. Sebastian continued by saying that because of his experience in building engineering, he was aware of the placement of a generator. When asked whether he was alone himself, he said that he was. A blast of wind and eerie whispering announced the approaching animals, and Sebastian led the party in a hasty retreat back to their cover. Sebastian was oddly absent and alone. Sebastian's injuries were observed by Marshall, the group's commander, who then presented him to Liliana, their physician. Sebastian told Liliana about his experience and asked her to keep it private. Dinner with the survivors that night, Sebastian saw a guy whose eyes ought to have been scared beyond recognition. Unafraid of his wounds, this guy believed they would remind the survivors that not all dangers were paranormal. Malevolent humans who had accepted the monster's vision and insisted that others see them too were the ones who left him scarred. That evening, Sebastian stole every key he could find and made his way back, unable to sleep on the bus where the others slept. When Liliana awoke, Sebastian was trying to start the bus. Sebastian drove out of the shelter as soon as it roared to life. When the bus flipped over, Sebastian came out and showed everyone how fascinated he was by the animals. He turned out to be a member of the organization that the man without eyes had mentioned. The man without eyes sobbed as Sebastian voiced his sadness at their failure to notice another survivor who, now possessed by the monsters, set the bus on fire and caused an explosion. Sebastian's once enthralled eyes returned to normal as he watched with glee as the ghosts of the dead survivors rose. Then Anna showed up, congratulating Sebastian for freeing the survivors' souls while holding his hand. Sebastian asked her when he would be able to see the mysterious creature's domain, which she characterized as enticing. Anna consoled him, saying he would see it shortly after he had completed leading the Lost. Just 9 months before, Sebastian was a typical working parent in Barcelona when the invisible forces invaded and killed numerous people. After picking Anna up from her Catholic school, Sebastian and her made their escape via the church. There, they came across Esteban, a priest who took an embrace from the aliens and thought they were angels coming to save them. Esteban went outside the church to see these angels. With his eyes closed, Sebastian discovered that his wife Laura had perished in a vehicle crash. Sebastian went back to the church now to confess, and thereafter he grinned while looking at a vibrant ceiling painting. While walking around the city with Anna, they saw a bus with an eye painting on. Looking into a commotion, they discovered many dead and one guy, bound but alive, inside the bus. The man died and Sebastian comforted him, telling him that the creatures were, in fact, angels, observing. His soul emerged from a ceiling. Sebastian examined the city with binoculars, finding a lady entering a drugstore. He drew her in and discreetly introduced himself to Clara within. He was suddenly attacked by a dog, and its owners, Rafa and Octavio, showed there. Rafa violently attacked Sebastian since he didn't trust him. Sebastian repeated the false promise he had made to other survivors, that he knew the location of a generator, in order to earn sympathy and obtain admittance into the group by fabricating a tale about being ambushed and robbed. Clara, more compassionate than Rafa and Octavio, convinced the group to carry Sebastian back to their shelter as the monsters approached. indicated by the gathering wind and the dog's hostile barking at something invisible. When Sebastian arrived at their refuge, he was introduced to Roberto and Isabel and thought Sophia, a little German girl, was his daughter Anna. When Rafa asked Sebastian about his background and identification, he replied that he was by himself. When pressed about his wounds, he disclosed that he had once been a member of a group that was killed by the animals. He said that he had concealed when a bunch of guys showed there and forced them to look at the animals. Sebastian characterized these guys as earthly wanderers who were seers, seeing things without blindfolds and ordering others to do the same. Anna remained a little distance away from Rafa and Octavio, seemingly unobserved by anybody else, dismissing his daughter's offer. Sebastian came clean and told everyone that the generator tale he had made up was a lie to get him into the gang. Rafa became furious and grabbed Sebastian, threatening to kill him by forcing him outdoors without eye protection. The others were unable to comprehend Sophia as she raced towards them, shrieking in German, interrupting the group's objections and pleas for Rafa to calm down. Rafa noticed Sebastian's special capacity to speak with Sophia, and Sebastian calmed the tension by responding in German. Permitted to stay, Sebastian acted as an interpreter for Sophia's story of what she had gone through when the animals arrived. She described seeing individuals jump into the water out of fear when she and her mother were aboard a vacation ship. When her mother could see again, they had fled as she covered her eyes with paper. They were riding in a vehicle. They switched on the radio and listened to a report about Manchuk, a safe sanctuary in the Highlands. The gang was reluctant to seek out the castle refuge, but once Sophia revealed a gondola that may take survivors there, they changed their minds. The gang, seeing Manchuk as an opportunity to go outdoors, was convinced to go by Anna and Sebastian. They left for their goal the next day and found a safe area to stay the night. Sebastian and Clara were able to strengthen their friendship this time. As they continued on their trek, Sebastian was drawn in by the sounds of the animals and took off his goggles that covered his eyes. Sensing the animals, the dog barked, and the survivors heard the voices of those they loved, urging them to open their eyes. The dog managed to escape from Rafa and Octavio, but their bark continued to resound. Hearing his puppy nearby, Rafa grabbed blindly for it, while Sophia was tempted to take off her blindfold by her mother's words, but Octavio stopped her right away. Rafa lifted his blindfold at the sound of his dog's screams, only to see the thing that had tempted him to injure himself. The dogs came back, biting at his dead body, one of them being persuaded to attack Roberto by the thing. Then, using a whistle, Octavio found a protected location for them to reassemble. After locking the door behind them, they all went inside and discovered Rafa was gone. Octavio went on to explain his understanding of the entities and how their formlessness changed constantly according on the victim's beliefs, feelings, or levels of dread. Sebastian took a seat next Clara, who was clearly unsettled by her brother's words. He discovered Sophia crying in a room after realizing she was gone and comforted her. He displayed to her his necklace, which featured a seraph angel that was said to be so exquisite that only God could look at it directly. Sophia took the necklace from him and saw the name Anna etched on it. Later, after seeing Anna's name on the necklace, Clara approached Sebastian, intrigued. When they heard Roberto's excruciating cries and saw how badly his bite had become infected, they knew how serious the wound was and went to look for medications in an abandoned home. Tricking Octavio, Sebastian went inside a room with a window open. Sebastian said the windows were closed when he arrived, which persuaded Octavio to take off his blindfold and commit himself. Sebastian jerked back to reality and stared in shock at Octavio's body after failing to see his spirit ascend. When Clara heard the noise and realized what had happened to Octavio, she begged Sebastian to leave the area after hearing her brother's voice once again. Although Anna had been pleading with her father to take off Clara's blindfold, Sebastian disregarded her and they left the home together. After they got back to their hiding place, Clara took care of Roberto's injuries. Sebastian started to second-guess his actions as he sat on the steps. The next day, as they were negotiating a little street, Sebastian saw several seers who were riding a bicycle and were hiding from view. They struck Roberto. Isabel crept forward to face him, acknowledging their doom. After taking off their blindfolds, they planted one more kiss. After finding a secure place, Clara took off Sebastian's goggles and was startled to see that he was overcome by this and could see, in Sebastian's obvious stress, as Anna came to him every now and then, pleading with him to rescue Clara and Sophia. Clara ran away from him with Sophia. They found themselves on the rooftop, where Clara used a long antenna to keep Sebastian at a distance as the monsters spoke around them. After swinging the antenna, Clara stumbled and fell into the scaffolding, unconscious. After seeing a vision of Anna bleeding, Sebastian struggled with his conscience and debated whether or not to take off Sophia's blindfold. Sophia wondered who Sebastian was talking to as he was about to take off the blindfold. Anna's vision became increasingly chaotic. Yelling at Sebastian before he hugged Sophia and Anna's picture disappeared. Sebastian and Anna had lived with Esteban 7 months before. Esteban performed rituals where he would mark an eye on people's foreheads and make them face the beasts. Sebastian used music to reassure Anna throughout these times. As they celebrated Anna's birthday, Esteban and his cronies took them to the roof. Anna was convinced to look at the animals by Esteban, who marked her. Sebastian was left to lament Anna's departure as she leaped from the rooftop under their spell. Sebastian saw the thing for himself and then started seeing glimpses of Anna, who pushed him to share their sight. Now back in the present, Sebastian offered to help Clara go back to sleep and suggested that they take the tramway to the gondola. He told Clara his narrative, admitting his sins and explaining his previous deeds under the influence of his hallucinations of Anna. Sebastian made the decision to assist Clara and Sophia board the gondola and go for the Manchuk refuge in an effort to find atonement. Sebastian held off Esteban and his cronies while protecting Clara and Sophia, igniting a car to stall their assailants. He urged Clara and Sophia to go to the castle, where he said goodbye and they faced Esteban and his crew at the top. Clara tried, and at first failed, to turn on the gondolas. She rang a bell, attracting attention and unintentionally calling the animals closer. When the gondola finally began to move, Sophia was lured toward the edge of the cliff by her mother's voice, and Clara, reapplying her blindfold, began to look for her furiously. Sophia was about to collapse, but Clara stopped her, hugged her, and they leaped into a speeding gondola together. Sebastian defeated the seer, but during a fight with Esteban, he sustained injuries. Despite being mortally injured, he grinned as he watched the gondolas take Clara and Sophia to safety. As he went, he was reunited with Anna in spirit. Soldiers and other survivors met Clara and Sophia as they arrived to Muck Castle, where Sophia was overjoyed to see her mother again. After that, Clara was brought to a facility where scientists were working on creating a counteragent to counteract the monster's effects. Scientists used a seer's blood in their 12th experiment, which they carried out on healthy rats in secret facilities. The testing rats were kept in a safe environment as they nervously awaited the results. The story closes with a roar that sounded out of the room, becoming more menacing as the seer in restraint begged to see the beast.